Hi, I'm John Redmond and I'm a contemporary artist. Honestly, the alarm, the dog, and then really I think before I go to bed in the evening, I always think about what the next day is. So whether that's a piece of work I'm already working on and I want to continue with, or whether that's a new concept. So that's really what gets me motivated. I think I spent most of my life as a creative director, which has been amazing, a job I've loved. But I think right now, because I'm a full-time artist, I'm totally free to do whatever I want to do. So whether I just hit the canvas, it's when I start it, when I in the middle, and when I finish is totally my freedom. I came to Dublin. I was 16-ish, going on 17. And I went to college in the College of Marketing and Design in Parnell Square. But I was very lucky. I had a tutor in college who got me a job in the summertime in Arnott's department store as a display artist. I worked there for 3 years. I then was headhunted by a lovely man called Bill, who's a personal friend now still, for Brown Thomas on Grafton Street. And I think I joined them. I just remember going, oh my God, this is it. I loved it. When I started, it was in the early 80s and we were across on Grafton Street, which is now the Marks and Spencer's building. And the Weston family bought the other side of the street, the Switzer's building, and all the businesses that were associated with that. So I worked on a team, and one of the most exciting times, if I'm honest, was really working on all the different concepts of getting that business from one side to the other, but also making sure that the public loved what was being done. Because, you know, in retail, people have a heart about what they really like, and sometimes they don't like the change. So we came up with amazing campaigns to explain what the change was going to be and how much better it would be. And I think we did that quite successfully. And over the years, I worked there for 38 years. I found my niche, and I was very lucky that I worked with, you know, big brands like Louis Vuitton, and all the big brands ended up having a great creative teams. I was always felt supported. As a creative person, I think the support around you is something that's very important. And when you feel supported and understood, you can do more and you can achieve more. The support I had as I got older in that role, I loved giving that support to younger people. And now some of them are doing amazing things, and some of them are worldwide designers and creatives and stuff. So it's kind of amazing. So I guess I've always felt very privileged in working in the way I worked. And now as a full-time artist, I think that's another creative output for me. Do you know, a day in the life of a creative director was something that was really amazing. Again, I'd get up in the morning, I'd plan. I would paint before I go to work. That was something that in my latter life, in later stages, should I say, I could come into the studio at 5:30 in the morning and I'd paint before I go into work. And that was increasing. But then I'd go to work and, you know, I could be in a meeting for 7:30 or 8, and you do the tour of the business. And then it's kind of meeting the team, looking at what the calendar is, looking at what the work was, what the diary is, and what the meetings had to be. And it was really, you know, very much about a coming together. I would have worked on the design of the stores. You'd work, you know, with the design department. You'd also work with buying teams and the calendars of, you know, events. So I would put together a calendar for 12 months of the different things that were going to happen. And then you'd work with the different divisions to kind of place that in. So there was always presentations of what the calendar would be. And then throughout the year, previous to those events happening, like everything, you do the meetings and what the parts of that would fit in. What's kind of interesting is that when you're a creative director, you work in so many divisions. So it could be a fashion show, it could be a TV campaign, it could be anything. So every day was different. And I think that's something that I loved, yeah. Painting for me, I always call it my yoga. I don't do yoga, but I always call it my yoga because I think when I paint at the canvas, you think about nothing else, only about that. And it was probably the one thing that made me just think about nothing. I think an artist to me is somebody who has a vision, somebody who's curious, and somebody who has an ability to, whatever their art form is, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpture, whether it's dance, whatever it might be, of getting that out there and getting that known and people seeing it and enjoying it. The people I'd love to collaborate is with Hermes. I have worked with them when they came to Dublin first, when we opened their store, and on various different events through the time. But as an artist, I would love to collaborate with them. I just always watch Hermes, and I don't know, when you look at how they work with traditional craftspeople, artists, they're kind of very unique. There are lots of big brands in the world that are equally wonderful and do amazing things, but they just seem to do something different. I think I've changed because I'm doing it full time. I think I was very lucky at the time I changed. I only started showing my work publicly when I was 50. I had a house full of works, and my friends and family always said, you should show your work publicly. And I put together an art exhibition, and I was very lucky with my friends and stuff. And we got a great space, and it looked really lovely. And I was really happy that, the reaction it got. But when I realized that there was an interest in my work, and then I just got to a point when I said, I'm at the point in life now, this is really what I want to do. By my late dad. And that was, you don't need to be a scholar, but if you go through life with good manners and respect, you can get through and you can be anything or do anything you want to do. You can have all these creative ideas, but if you can do what you do creatively with good manners, I think that can really help. I'm following Jamie Hain, the Spanish artist. He's a great artist, but he's also a great architect. He does interior design, he does urban spaces, and he travels all over the world, and his work is just joyful, but it's extraordinarily joyful. The other person that I think is truly incredible, and he's just retired from his own brand, is Dries Van Noten, the fashion designer. I think I've always been inspired by what he does. I love his sense of colour, craftsmanship, and his decorativeness, and yet it's very modern. That would be somebody that I'd love to collaborate with as well. I just form inspiration from everywhere, really. Or I could see something in a travel and it could be anything, and it could be a specific colour, and I will come home and try and make that colour. And then something will start from that. One of my big loves is geometric architecture. I just love it. I don't know what it is. And if you really look at my art, so much of it is influenced by that. And I think the piece behind me particularly, that I'm working on at the minute, so yeah, has to be joyful. So I get so much joy in doing it. And I think one of my big goals would be is that whoever collects it and whoever hangs it, it gives them joy as well. You always look to be better. You always look to make it better. Even though I'm 60, I still think I learn about art every day. They do take time because I layer and layer and layer. And I always said to myself, I'd never put myself under pressure painting, so I don't let that happen. I might work on 2 and that could take a bit longer, but definitely it's a month. I don't know if I can answer that, but I have a very fun one. There's ones I did in lockdown, and they were called Face to Face, and they're, like an abstract face.